One of the things I found most fascinating about the recovery movement when I was ushered into it, kicking and screaming, was that of all things, they gave you, they allowed you, they even encouraged you, they even recommended that you get a God of your own understanding, which is pretty remarkable because as varied as my smorgasbord of spirituality and religion was prior to trying out the recovery thing and its brand of spirituality, it had always seemed to me like every religion that I ever tried was very welcoming, come on in and give us a try, but they had a very strong ideas about the God you were going to accept and rationalize and utilize. In other words, come on in, the water's fine in our religion, and trust me, I'm not trying to judge or condemn or criticize. But what I am saying is many religions seem to say, come on in, we love you, here's our God, and if you happen to stray from this one or don't believe in this one, we'll, kill or torture you and for your own good. Now, obviously, I'm being a little extreme, but back to the point, the brilliance of getting a God of your own understanding, as if you could get any other kind of God. Even in the recovery movement, they say a God of your misunderstanding, just as long as you find a God that you can do business with. So, what am I getting at? There's all these different ways to think about God, right? There's even the way of not thinking about God. But either way, you're going to deal with the topic. Even the most strident, militant atheists have thought a great deal about God and decided God is not for them. You can't get around it because God is simply what you consider your source or your creator to be. And any thinking person must consider this and then come up with their own conclusions and ideas and synthesis of these ideas. Having arrived upon a synthesis of ideas, then we take our own model of reality and we try it out on the world. We give it a go, and then we get to see the happy or unhappy results. Well, this week we've been looking at the way that so many religions have thought about God, the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, the parent, the offspring, and the conscious connection. But it's this three thing. It's this infinite, finite, and then something that connects them. And it can be baffling. And we listen to other people's ideas and descriptions. For some people, the idea of Father, Son, and Holy Ghost is really antithetical to the way that they think. Maybe they didn't have a good relationship with their father, whatever the case might be. But the point today is that there's one definition of God that seems to be pretty consistent, pretty durable, reliable, amazing, and wonderful, is that God is infinite. God has no boundaries, no limitation. But isn't that interesting? Of all the things that God is, there's one thing that God isn't or never could be. Are you ready for this? God could never be finite. God could never be constrained or have boundaries or limitations. And God, in his, infinite wisdom, for an infinitely more interesting experience of the universe, makes itself, himself, herself finite. In other words, God has kids. Now, if you're a parent, you know what your life was like before you had kids. I'm sure it was rich and full and wonderful and filled with various notions and ideas, plans, schemes, and designs, intentions, and dreams. But think of how your life changed when you had a kid, what it added to your life. It added something that not having a kid could never add. Does that make sense? I wonder if it makes sense because I ain't got no kids, but I've heard rumors, I've heard enough parents say that when they had a kid, it added something to their life that was beyond their wildest imaginings, and it brought to them a sense of development, understanding, growth, evolution, joy, engagement, relationship that was, well, so good that they would even have more. Could you imagine? Now, sometimes the relationship can be a little troublesome, we admit, but you know, you have a kid and you watch your finite baby grow and go through trials and tribulations, and of course you try to help. You are the absolute power of the family, right? Well, you share that with another parent. But the point is that while you're the absolute power, you give your kid the freedom to grow, to develop themselves, and to grow into all that they would be. So maybe now we can get a sense of God as parent. We are the offspring. And what connects us? Well, it's called the Holy Ghost or the Spirit. Let's call it love. Let's just call it love. Let's call it what it is, the thing that connects the infinite God, finite, me, you, all of us, the offspring, and the love that connects us. And what a beautiful relationship this is. And still, I'm kind of delivering some of my thoughts and concepts. What would really be valuable this very day, chills, would be the love that connects all of it together. So we move from concept to experience. An experience is worth 1,000 beliefs. An experience is reading a beautiful menu every single day and having to eat the menu. Today, let's eat the connection that connects infinite to us, and what a beautiful arrangement that is. Anyway, I hope I made a little sense. Have a beautiful day, and we'll continue to expand our minds tomorrow. Bye.